Dear Venerable Sister, brothers and Dhamma friends, we are going to start the talk today. May everyone get settled down and give the consent with 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Sati sambojjhanganga bhaveti viveka nisitang viraga nisitang nirodha nisitang patinissaganu vassaganu parinamiti. Dear Venerable Sister, brothers and Dhamma friends, we are dealing the third aspect, or third most beneficial, greatly helpful aspect that Venerable Sariputta is enumerating in the Dasuththara Sutta, namely putting the Dhamma into practice in its entirety. So this Dhamma here, we, for the sake of this series of talks, defined as 37 factors of enlightenment. So we have taken time for the 4 foundation of mindfulness and 4 aspects of striving and 4 ways for the success and 5 faculties and 5 powers. So when we consider, there we have mentioned the mindfulness itself 4 times as for foundation of mindfulness and faculty of mindfulness and the power of mindfulness. That means 6 times. Now we have reinforced, we have familiarized, mastered the mindfulness. So therefore the early definition, you take the mindfulness as mindfulness with the mindfulness on the body, that we can say that is the definition for the beginner. And when it is reaching mindfulness or contemplating on the feelings as feelings and the mind as the mind and the Dhamma as such, the mindfulness is gathering the momentum. That means it's within the 4 foundation of mindfulness, the mindfulness evolve in its definition, go through changes. So each day, when and where you start the meditation from the normal set of mind, you start with the Kaya-anupassana level, contemplation of the body, and then when and where it is maturing, go into the feelings and the mental aspects and the other Dhamma. That is how you train the mindfulness itself. And then, once supported by these 4 limbs of striving and 4 ways of success, the mindfulness agglomerate or congeal into a faculty. You know when and where to use the mindfulness, you know the weak points of the mindfulness, weak time of the mindfulness, and you know where to start and what is the opening balance and how to facilitate, like you make it into a kind of a helping hand or like a walking stick, helping as a faculty. And when and we are furthering, dealing with mindfulness very closely, then even the mindfulness is going to become replaced by unmindfulness or wandering mind. That also come into being. You learn the art of non-reaction toward the unmindfulness or unassuming nature, even the lack of mindfulness, even the wandering mind. So it's a kind of a bitter in taste or astringent in taste but you have to understand mindfulness itself, whether you like it or not, is a part and parcel of the truth of suffering. It creates kind of a suffering. Though it is working and helping as a tool, it has its own weaknesses. That means sometimes the mindfulness ceases to exist. So if you are utterly have a forward look with the mindfulness, whenever it ceases to exist, that means the mindfulness is changing into the unmindfulness, utterly you will desperately regret. So there also you have to go prepared. That preparation and galvanizing effect is what you call the power of mindfulness. And there you are not always positively helping toward the mindfulness. You learn the mastery of it. Even the mindfulness is replaced by the unmindfulness. You, for the first time, learning how to not to react, how to not to regret. So this is a very interesting point, or interesting evolution as far as the mindfulness is concerned. And not only the mindfulness, the faith, the energy, the concentration, the wisdom. Everything used like an anchor in the ship. You are ready to throw it away. You are ready to keep it in the ship. Whenever necessary, you throw away the anchor. Likewise, now the faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration and wisdom, you put into use. Never use them as a pet. Never use them in the showcase and be proud. But instead, whenever you are unmindful, whenever you are unfaithful, whenever you are lethargic and lazy-born, whenever you are not concentrated, whenever you are not wise enough, well and good. That is part and parcel of the life. Like you try to understand the behind, the shadow of the 5 faculties. So it appears like negative, but it is a huge ethical value. When and where you bound to see, or when and where you go prepared to see the unmindful nature, even with so much of striving and so much of forward looking, when and where you sympathizing yourself, you are then only then you can sympathize others' unmindfulness or absent-minded, of course unmindfulness. Otherwise, you will never sympathize someone's mistake. So therefore, when and where you learn the art, pamade na kampatiti satibala, when and where you are not diligent, when and where you have slips, negligence, but training yourself not to worry. And even though you train yourself to be a very faithful person, not like a generous, not like a moral restraint, not like a wisdom concentrated training. Now you are in the wisdom training, therefore there should have a very high caliber of faith. But even then you are ready to see its behind, the shadow, the disappearance. And main thing is not to worry. So this is the way you see all the facets, all the sides of these 5 faculties, and that is how it becomes powers, 5 powers. So that the most important thing we take as the mindfulness, and there is no reason as such, because you are dealing with 5 aspects: the faith, the energy, mindfulness, concentration as the wisdom. But when and where you go to 7 factors of enlightenment, mindfulness comes first and foremost. Whenever the Satta Sambojjhanga come into being, starting point is the mindfulness. Of course, in the 37 factors of mindfulness, start with the 4 foundation of mindfulness, and then whenever it becomes faculties, whenever it becomes powers, First, the saddha, the faith. Second, the virya. Third is the mindfulness. And followed by the concentration and the wisdom. But when it comes to the sattva bojjhanga, the 7 factors of enlightenment, mindfulness take the forerunner, the first thing, because by that time you comprehend unmistakably the value, utility value of the mindfulness. Up till or until you come up to the bojjhanga level, you support mindfulness, you foster mindfulness, you facilitate mindfulness, may or may not be with clear understanding of its benefits. But when and where I come to the bojjhanga level, you yourselves start to feel its contributive factor. So therefore, when the Burmese masters see the discrimination between sati bala and sati bojjhanga, mindfulness as a power, with compared to the mindfulness as a factor of enlightenment, now you are very clear the secular use of mindfulness and the supramundane use of mindfulness. So this is the part the West find very difficult to understand. They treat the mindfulness as a secular way. And when and where you come up to the bojjhanga level, you can see mindfulness is good for your productivity. Mindfulness is good for your creativity. Mindfulness is a good way of efficiency increasing. But you can use either in the mundane level or secular way or supramundane and towards the emancipation. And that difference you have to assimilate by going deeper and deeper into the mindfulness, and there you see deep nuances, deep meaning of mindfulness. If you are sharp enough, while you keep on improving your mundane skills, you know how to make use into the supramundane. You are not utterly absorbed by mundane achievement with the help of mindfulness. You know, if you go that way, your understanding will be paralyzed, imbalanced. So you have to understand, you have to share it with the supramundane use of the mindfulness. When the people or when the meditator is coming from the traditional background or the Buddhist background, they have a better chances to understand mindfulness is yes, but not merely for the worldly achievement. It has a very great potential while you are utterly in the secular life, while you are utterly in the materialism. Still you can open the avenue, open the window to the supramundane level, and there your decision, how many time you are allocating for your mundane gain and how much time-wise you are allocating for the supramundane, no one can assimilate it unless otherwise you decide it. That depends on your understanding of this suffering on the samsara. If you really clearly understand the suffering, you may not use mindfulness utterly or only for the secular uses, so only for the mundane uses. Not that it has no any potential, of course it has. But at the bojjhanga level, you understand, with the help of this efficiency, you see while living lay life, while living household life, still you have a hope. So in the suttas, discourses like Chula Sunyata Sutta and the Ananja-sappaya Sutta, the Buddha never recommend a renunciation or living the household life till you come up to that level. After you come up to that level, you understand the utter inefficiency, utter friction in the household life. Even if you are living in the household life, you assimilate in such a way not to engage on the socialization, not to engage so much in the consumerization, not to engage so much with the luxuries. You live a modest way of life, and you find if the sasana is available, if the dispensation available, why not decide, why not take a decision to take into this renunciation? Or not that it is exactly becoming a monk and full-time. Whatever may be, you are shifting to the mundane, to the supramundane, decides how much you have sati sambojjhanga. If the bojjhanga has come up to the maturity, not that you make a decision, but you feel the pros and cons. And then you go to sambojjhanga, or mindfulness come up to the factor of enlightenment. And so imagine if there is no sasana, if there is no dispensation, when the time you are developing the mindfulness, you get bewildered now. Because you know, more and more you be efficient in the household life, but you see it's utter wastage of utter bad investment. Why should you go there? And in the time where there is no Buddha, there are some good people, there are some noble people, but no lead, no guide. So therefore, they go up to that level and they don't want no guidance, no forward leading. But when you are working with the Buddha Sasana, the Buddha very clearly indicates the mindfulness has 5 stages, and that is very good enough for you to develop your education, your health and your economy, your political background and social. But after a while, the sasana, the dispensation, the message indicate the mindfulness is furtherance, if you wish, there should have a kind of a decision. And that is what we call renunciation. And when that happens, you get a better chances to develop mindfulness up to the bojjhanga level. And that the bojjhanga level, the mindfulness is the healing effect, is the therapeutic effect. So therefore, when the Bojjhanga Sutta is recited, you have the healing effect, the maximum. So whenever there is someone fallen sick, that is norm to recite the Bojjhanga Sutta. So much so, when the Buddha fallen sick, he asked the Venerable Maha, please recite the Bojjhanga. Then he recovered himself. So therefore, in the Bojjhanga, starting sati, it has come up to such a maturity, such a efficiency, it never used for mundane use. It gives the not only the materialistic side, but the mental side also. So therefore, Bojjhangas are considered something magical powers, or healing powers, or therapy. So therefore, when and where someone is practicing mindfulness up to the Bojjhanga level, whenever they fall sick, they never see outside. They never see external medicine or external kind of thing. See how much I can reinstall mindfulness. The reinstallation of mindfulness is almost like the recovery from the disease. So don't worry much about the outside, and try to see under such mental situation or physical situation, how much can I maintain the mindfulness. So that become your theme in the life. So therefore you are not looking here and there. Whenever mindfulness is speak, definitely you are searching outside. So much so you become a slave. So much so you become a subject to the disease. When and where mindful reinstalled, the disease disappears, the symptom disappeared, And you understand, even under such grave situations, the mindfulness never leave you. So that is very clearly the Buddha indicates the person who has developed mindfulness under the four foundation of mindfulness and as a faculty, as a power, he will really verify his or her investment of the mindfulness when he or she fallen utterly desperately sick. And if you know, even under the utterly desperately sick situation, if you can trust mindfulness and be mindful, if you look from that perspective, mindfulness never leaves you. Venerable Jnanaponika, when he was writing the power of mindfulness, he says the one specific character of the mindfulness is, it is trustworthy, it is credible. Once you develop, the mindfulness will give in return whenever you are in a dangerous situation, unsuitable, secure, it is not unsecure situation, difficult situation, the mindfulness come back. So how long you will to understand to trust mindfulness, it's a gap. Once you've fallen sick, immediately you will not consult the mindfulness, you will consult the family doctor, you will consult the neighbor. And after that only you will understand, yes, that is there, but we are practitioners, why not trust upon the mindfulness? It says a time gap. That time gap is there, but whenever you call mindfulness for the service, it is ready-made like a fire brigade. So that is the way you become closely related with the Bojjhanga, that Sati as a Bojjhanga, and when and where you call for the duty is ready. So there onward you know whatever the physical gain, whatever the mundane thing you accumulated, it is may or may not be, not so trustworthy, not so credible, but the mindfulness never leaves you. So that is why the mindfulness is not the Nibbana, sure, but it has this kind of qualities, but these qualities will never manifest to the practitioner unless otherwise the mindfulness come up to that kind of a maturity. Once come there, all the other faculties like the faith, like energy, the concentration and the wisdom, you find as far as the mindfulness is there, as far as it is trustworthy, as far as it is credible, all the rest, when and where you can call for the duty, and they are waiting. So therefore Bojjhanga, Sati Sambojjhanga is a kind of a change over period, how much you develop your own confidence. And in Bojjhanga Sutta, Sati Sambojjhanganko Kassapa, Maya Sammadakkato, Bhavito Bahulikato, the Buddha mentioned very clearly when the Venerable Kassapa is sick, go and remind the mindfulness, and when and where you come up to the mindfulness as a Bojjhanga level, some other suttas, the Buddha is teaching the person how to reinforce this mindfulness, how to season the mindfulness so that your clarity of the other shadow of meanings of the mindfulness will come into that. The Buddha mentioned, whenever Sati Sambojjhanga or mindfulness is come up to the Bojjhanga level, Bhaveti Viveka Nishitam, Viraga Nishitam, Nirodha Nishitam, Patnisagganupassi. You master it, you season it in such a way, you observe mindfulness or see all the shades of mindfulness in a very relaxed way, not very in a tensed way. Or that means to say, even the unmindful, you don't worry. The example given is when a cowboy is leading the herd to the field, there may be some grown the farmers' paddy fields or other crops, and there may be some other barren land area where grasses are there. So, as far as farmers are busy with their crop not harvested, the cowboy has to take care. The herd should not go to the field. If it is so, they will eat into the crop which is not been harvested, very lush and green. And therefore always it has to keep alert, because the herd, the cows, are always attracted to the crop. After giving that example, the Buddha says, imagine when the farmer came and harvested the crop, and then onward how the cowboy is observing the herd. It is not worrying now. Well, crop is harvested. So cows can go, herd can go to the barren land as well as the crop. So he can use the flute and sit under a tree and easily observe the herd. Likewise, when you are developing mindfulness, after a while you feel like feeding the herd in the harvested field life. So there is no much tension. That is called viveka nissitang. So you are expecting. You know, sometimes mindfulness is there, sometimes mindfulness is not there. Never mind. Again you can reinstall. That kind of a viveka nissita attitude is that you are not worrying, and you know the meditation is leading you to lack of tension, lack of frustration, but at the early part of mindfulness, tension is there, frustration is there. Just like the cowboy leading the herd to the fields so that they will not jump into the field, intrude into the field. So this is a very good example. When and where you familiarize mindfulness, ultimately you let the mindfulness to run the show. In my vocabulary, I would say, put into autopiloting and see what is going to happen. And you have to make sure now field is harvested. So this is the point where very difficult for a second person to come and help you, but we can give examples. We can give theoretical understanding, but after a while, you have to give a utter chance for mindfulness to run the show. You will never give, if you are a disciplinarian, I have to use this term, if you are a disciplinarian, you will never let loose. If you are a disciplinarian, you will never let loose your children to play. You will interfere. And that is the way you make enemies out of children. Whenever they are ready, they have to give a chance. That is the confidence of the parents. But if you are always looking behind and backward as well as forward, children, they don't like it. They have to fly. They have to jump into the air and fly. At that situation, if you go and try to teach them how to fly, it is too much. So, Bojjhanga level mindfulness is asking this. Please let me run. Please let me fly. When it is happening, you can see. At the beginning, of course, have a little bit of surveillance and then run to. That's called viveka nissitang, sati sambojjhangam bhaveti viveka nissitang. Viveka nissitang means you are not so tight. You are not so controlling it. Viraga nissitang, sometimes it do naughty things. It do wandering. So therefore don't get disheartened. This is the nature. So viraga nissita means always you can't keep the children under your lap, on your lap and expect that. But sometimes they go. Imagine with a girl or boy, when they come up to their age, they will look for their spouse. They is the partner. So that parents will never appreciate it. Parents wanted to give a proposal. But children have their own way. So that selection is not put them into danger. We have to give a certain amount of weight of the decision, because they are the people going to live together, not the parents. Parents are look from the cultural point of view, or their patriotism, but married life is completely different maybe. So likewise, when the mindfulness become bojjhanga or factor of enlightenment, you have to kind of a viraga. Yes, your children, your child, but they are with their own liking and disliking. They are going to start a life. So when their branching out happens, the kind of a viraga nisitang, nirodha nisitang means you must have the guts to see not only the arising mindfulness, you must have the guts to see the disappearing of the mindfulness. Mindfulness is now disappearing, don't worry. And that is called nirodha, is kaya vaya nirodha. It is disappearing, and just like a sunset or like end of the party, everything is going, but still you must have ability to see it. And unless otherwise you have this kind of inquiring mind, investigation, you will never shift from the matter to the antimatter. And from the antimatter to the matter, because it always appears like losing the control light. But it is searching new avenues. When it is searching new avenues, you can't hold into what only known, only the known tracks. It's diversified. And when it is diversifying happens, it appear like somewhat risky. It's a risk lover kind of a situation happen. That is so unpredictable situation. So when and where you are not happy, you only expect known. That means the object of meditation and the mindfulness of the that particular object. It is known thing. So if you have no nirodha nisitang, you always have the fear of freedom or fear of unknown. So that is very, very clear in the traditional Buddhists. Whenever the mindfulness is searching new areas, grow into new areas, they always pull it and try to keep it in the known place, and that is the way your knowledge become a hindrance. Your knowledge become a phobia, so that you never understand unknown. So whenever at the deathbed, when the unknown kind to happen in tons or in the big scale, then you're completely unprepared. Because while living you never experimented, never investigated to the unknown. So for that to happen, sometimes your object disappear, sometimes the mindfulness disappear. While disappearing, you must not run panic, you must not be allergic on that kind of situation. That is the way you galvanize the mindfulness with the nirodha nisitang, vasagga parinaming, ready to lose. Mindfulness is, yes, that is something you earn. You think so. But in reality, mindfulness is a birthright. It is nothing you earn. Only you have done is removal of the hindrances. When the removal of the hindrances happen, mindfulness comes. So therefore, as it comes, there may be some events. It is going further away. It is going beyond your control. So vasagga parinami, that is the way the mindfulness become galvanized and versatile under different conditions. Of course, when that happens, mindfulness is coupled with the concentration. Sometimes mindfulness is coupled with the wisdom. And mindfulness is coupled sometimes with the faith. Sometimes with the energy. And all the areas where you have not covered, completed yet, will do all the fine-tuning, all the refinement can take place when and where the mindfulness come up to the bojjhanga level. And that is why sati sambojjhanga is leading to the Dhammavichaya sambojjhanga. That means investigating mind is naturally happen. Till that your all investigation was for the economic gain, for political gain, political recognition, or social status. But up to now, or after now, you investigate not to biased toward the materialistic gain, but without not making them a burden, how can I have a least frictional path to the supramundane? And you can see other people also while fighting and running, they some or the other keep the balance. So your mind also try to see, investigating, not to consider your present state as a negative or bad or inferior. You know, we all got the opening balance the same. So mindfulness, if you give that, lead to the inquiring mind, Dhammajiva, it is not burdened with the economic, political and social gain or mundane gain, and fairly open for the supramundane part. And they are with this Dhammajiva Sambojjhangaya, if you're going to read the Sutta, you can see the message Buddha given in between lines. The words are something, it's grammatical, very presented and well presented. But there is a kind of a message behind. Unless otherwise you practice Dhamma, unless otherwise you come out of the maturity, you will be just academic book we will, understand the theory, never go beyond. But if you look with the Dhammajiva Sambojjhangaya, how the Buddha presented the timeliness, the quantities, qualities, presentation, everything is genius. So you feel when and where you read the sutta second time, third time, fourth time, and you see there are new sap, new juice, new essence coming. So you feel like you are advancing. But that everything is been well thought about. Imagine that 2600 years when the suttas are coming without changing even the prefixes or something like that, what a kind of understanding the disciple would have, what a kind of a weight the disciple would have given. Something like Venerable Sariputta. They know these things are full of essence, so therefore they made the theories and kind of thing to preserve it, but never try to do value-added thing or subtraction. So ultimately you also try to understand the Dhammajiva. So it is like the current. It's like an electric current. When and where you go to the Dhamma, the virya, your energy, or the mobilization is invariable. Till that you have the yawning and boring and monotony and all the kind of thing. Now everything you know, good sign. It's a sign of progress. And when you go prepared, and whenever you feel lethargic and kind of thing, you know it's lethargic is a part and parcel of the mind. It's a concomitant of the mind. So understand it, never consider them as bad, because your virya incessant. It's like a slow releasing battery, ever releasing the energy. So when the virya happen, not only it's a physical thing, but even the understanding the capacity of your brain, the neurobics, the unused circuits in your brain, enormous. Whenever you specialize something, you become an idiot. Because you block the totality. Whenever you allow to say everything to happen, it's a matrix kind of a development. It's a ethical part is there, theoretical part is there, appropriate technology is there, and improvisation and impromptu knowledge is there, and your conservative nature adopting into the system, and not much with pollution, they are all part and parcel. So nothing to learn from the foreign experts, nothing to learn from these bloody fools coming and giving the conferences. They do nothing. But when you are meditating, you understand the human mind, and you are more and more coming close with the Buddha. More and more you are coming close with your noble friend. You come close and understanding with the true man, because your true nature is about to come when the sati, Dhammajiva, and virya, mindfulness, investigation, and the energy come into being. It's like the new circuits, new connections going to happen, and that is how the PT is come into being. You understand, unless otherwise you investigate the capacity within, you expect the PT in the materialism. You expect the PT in the fame gain. But you understand now, they are also not untrue. There is, but internal, inalienable, unalloyed. It's full of source. So you see the PT, the rapture, and then sukha, passaddhi. So Dhammavichaya, Virya and PT considered as something arousing. It's something energetic. But when the passaddhi, samadhi, upekha, the calming down. So mature part. So when you come into the passaddhi, the Burmese masters are very, very specific. They say the passaddhi is the healing capacity in the bojjhanga, because this appear in the 37 factors of enlightenment only once. When it come out of the bojjhanga, only passaddhi comes, and you feel the healing effect. Everything reconciliated and balancing happen. You just let it is like internal and external massage, or physical and mental massage. When the PT going to give the passaddhi, you find just like a mother's knowledge for the child. The Dhamma is working everything, so that the passaddhi happen, there's no special effort you must take to go to the concentration. That very understanding is a chain reaction, chain action of Dhamma. You feel concentrated, you feel one-pointed, and earlier there should have a lot of calibration and a lot of adjustment. But when and where the passaddhi happen, the samadhi going to happen, and the upekka is the one, I earlier tried to mention, viveka nissita, viraga nissita, nirodha nissita, patnissagana passing. You become equanimous to the mindfulness, whether you have it or not, don't worry. Whether you have the Dhammavichaya Sambojjhanga or not, or investigating mind, no, don't worry. Whether you have energy or not, so with that kind of maturity happen, the damage, the inflicting nature of the bad thing disappears. Even the bad thing, you appear as a Dhamma, as a cause and effect relationship, and you can easily understand beyond your egotistic measurements. You can see this is the way it happens, because you are ready for this upekha. Even the upekha sambojjhangam bhaveti viraga nissita, nirodha nissita, viveka nissita, viraga nissita, nirodha nissita, patnissagana passing. You understand ultimately the upekha or unshaky mind or suchness. It's a cream of all your good qualities that you have developed. Whatever the qualities you develop, you never become happy. You never become unhappy. It's nature, it is happening. So therefore, when and where upekha come into being, your young, robust nature disappears, kind of a maturity come into being. And that upekha itself, you reinforce viveka nissita. Upekha, when and where necessary, it comes and it leaves. Sometimes you appear like childish. Again you appear like maturity, but you know the norm is you are leading more and more to the maturity. Even here and there, childish nature is there. This is how the 7 factors of enlightenment with the early trial and error method come into the bojjhanga level or factor of enlightenment capacity, and this is directly related with the 8th noble path. So sometimes, particularly like in the Anapanasati Sutta, the Buddha explained, if you are thoroughly or immediately or diligently fulfill the 4 foundations of mindfulness, there's a shortcut to directly go into the 7 factors of enlightenment without passing the other 4 aspects of striving, 4 ways of success and faculty and powers you can have a direct connection to the Satta Bojjhanga, and Bojjhanga is preparing the situation, the mindset to go for the 8 factors of 8 noble path, eightfold path, and this, the path, it is eightfold, but presented as one singular form, one unit, like a wheel with 7 spokes like. So therefore, when and where the mind is mature and reinforced in the 7 factors of enlightenment, it is now ready to present to the noble eightfold path, and that is the middle path. So therefore, you know Vassagga Parinaming, that means whatever happens, you see one part you have to get rid of, and one part you have to appreciate. What is to be get rid of and what is to be appreciated indicate your adverting of the mind. Whatever the mind you adverted, that will become your world, and the rest of everything you will be forgive and forget, and whatever you are explaining, your interpretation and your everything is where the mind adverted. You think it is the totality, but that is never. So therefore, understanding the situation is different, and what is the one you plunge into, what's the one you pick, what is one you select, decides who you are, decides the future. So you learn the situation is something, but what is the thing you are focusing, what is the thing you are adverting, is the decisive factor. So therefore, if you are not deciding and let the situation to happen in a non-reaction way, if you observe, you can see your commitment. Once committed, you are destined. If you are not committed and let it happen, you see it's utter potential, it's utter possibility. But the only thing is you have no pekha, you have no patience, you have no unshaky mind, the situation to reveal by itself. Before it revealing, you jump and take a decision. Moment you take a decision, that means commitment, you are destined. Your destiny is there. So less and less you become aggressive, adamant, and just upekha to happen, it's a kind of a wisdom. And see, that situation itself has its own answer, if you can just look at from the distance point of view. So when that upekha is coming to the maturity, leading to the noble eightfold path, that becomes sammaditthi. That means your wider view, your correct view, your efficient view, and sammaditthi pubbangama. Whatever you do, whatever happen to you, depends, whether it's good or bad, depends on your view. The Buddha mentioned, when you take a bitter gourd, or whenever the neem seed, and plant it, whatever the land it may be, it sucks. It absorbs only the bitter taste of the land, and without water and everything, all the product is bitter in taste. And the fertilizing the land immaterial. Instead, if you take a mango seed or sweet melon and you plant it, it sucks only the sweet part of the land. Water, the sunlight, air, everything. So, your sammaditthi, the forerunner, if you are, it is not very thorough, then whatever you do, whatever the investment you invest, depend on your sammaditthi. So therefore, till you come up to the noble eightfold path, you think your success and failure is external. But here, whenever the sammaditthi come into being, without adjusting and without doing a feasibility study about your view, whatever you do, it's utter waste. But that is what we were doing. That is what we are teaching our children to do. That's why we are teaching to all the world, even you don't have a correct view. So therefore, upekha, the observing the thing at a distance with the full alert and let the thing happen, will give a better chance or relaxed mind to have a wider view. So that Sammaditthi, you can't claim this as yours. It is a chain action, it's a kind of a momentum, or it's a kind of a gathering of the speed. And when that happens, you can understand before the meditation how was your behavior, how was your decision making, how was your likings and disliking, how was your personality. And once meditated with the acquaintance of the mindfulness and factors of enlightenment, your patience is leading to wider view, and therefore how much energy you can save, or how much less lack of repercussions can do. And even if there's a repercussion, you never try to see the mistake of others. You understand this is something happen. When and where the cause and effects come into a line, these things are happening. Complaining is only you are making new karmic forces. You become more and more committed. So therefore, understanding as it happens is called Sammaditthi. And when and where you try to give this weight to the Sammaditthi, the wider view or correct view, your thinking pattern, your Samma Sankappa, your thoughts naturally become healthy. Kama Sankappa, Vyapada Sankappa, Avinsa Sankappa is the norm. The sex feelings, hatred and malice to the others. This is the normal mind. When and where the mind see through, or that means the wider view, which is Nikkama Sankappa, Avyapada Sankappa, Avinsa Sankappa. So it's a compassion is nothing to develop, that is the norm of our mind, unless otherwise hindrances and other defilements are blurring or veiling our mind. So when I was just learning about the mindfulness and Venerable Dhammika was feeding me, like spoon feeding, he told one day, he went to the royal guest house where Jiddu Krishnamurti came, and he came to know, he came as a government guest, royal guest, and he's living in the guest house. So he wanted to go there, but the security guard has told no, only for the people with the pass. Then he went to the out gate and start walking backward. And the security guard told, what are you doing now? I am not going in. I am not going in for the in door. I am going for the out door. I am going backward. I am a monk. Are you suspicious about me? Then he says, please, Bhante, go, but don't make any repercussion inside. There is a discussion is going, so don't disturb. Okay, you go. So when you go there, Krishnamurti is talking with a little number of people, there may be higher people in the government, and he was listening. Ultimately, the Krishnamurti mentioned, the compassion is a natural thing. There is nothing to learn. The bitch is compassionate to the puppies. Sometimes it is shouting and biting also. That's also part and parcel of the compassion. So bitch is not going to the university classes or the meditation masters to understand the compassion. That is the nature. And therefore he was telling again and again, when the mind is free, when the mind is empty, it's full of compassion. So Venerable Dhammika was a little confused. Then he has raised the hand and told, how that empty mind be compassionate? Then he says, Krishnamurti had a very nice, very mild smile. He says, empty mind means compassion. Anything you put you are no more compassionate. You are biased. So empty mind is mata yata niyam puttang ayusa eka putta manurakke. Evampi thabba bhutesu. Just like a mother who is her only child, it is for the whole beings, not only for your child. The same way, sabba bhutesu. Even to the plant, even to the non-living things. So when that happens, that you must be completely with a wider view, open-minded, and nothing to develop like anything. Compassion is nothing to teach. Only thing is remove this partial or sectarianism or biasness. Then the compassion happens. So therefore, Nekkhamma Sankappa, Avyapada Sankappa, Avinsa Sankappa become norm, become your second nature whenever Kama Vitakka, Vyapada Vitakka, Vihinsa Vitakka go on. So let them play. This is Kama Vitakka, that's sensuous and sexual feelings. And this is Nekkhamma Vitakka. Both of them are Vitakka. It is not me, not mine, not myself. When you give the equal chances, Nekkhamma Vitakka, the Kama Vitakka cannot overpower. Nekkhamma Vitakka naturally come into being. It is like when the sun is coming up, the darkness cannot be. Its light is there. Likewise, don't close your doors, go inside and hide, then you may complain there is no sun. But if you open your doors, sun is full outside. Likewise, you can see the human mind. So, your sankappa or your mental attitudes, many people are teaching how to be compassionate, how to be sympathetic joy, how to develop the loving kindness. So it is the nature. Unconditioning mind or fractional mind or partial mind or sectarian mind is a mercenary. You have no any kind of a fairness. So therefore living in the human world is utterly we are conditioning to be Sinhalese Buddhist or that sectarianism, this sectarianism. Ultimately we don't know, whatever may be the part you are going to select, that we are rejecting the majority. What you select is the always minority. So what about the not to select, just to observe them? That is what you call Samma Sankappa. No preconceived ideas, no premeditated idea. If it is so, you understand it. And then the Buddha mentioned your words, Samma Vacha, whatever you are talking, never provoking anything. Just tell the truth. Just tell truth to the level without exaggeration, without undermining. So that Samma Vacha is almost synonym with the Dhamma talk. Whatever you are talking is according to Dhamma. And any other kind of thing called as gossiping, and till that you come up to that kind of a situation, what you have mentioned, what you have communicated, what you have shared with others is the main source of defilements in our life. Even though we are in the communication age, even we have so much of communication gadgets, so much of demerits we are earning by handling them. Because these things are for commodity, for supply and demand, to gain something. So each and every skill you are using with communication in the term Samma Vacha, you will be successful but utterly developing so much of demerits. But when you have the Sammaditi, Samma Sankappa, you know what to talk. And you know that is not being appreciated by majority. Utterly you know it. So therefore you shut up and wait. Don't try to sell Dhamma. Don't try to preach Dhamma to the majority. But when and where someone comes, you have this sharing. And it is called Sabbrahmachari. We meditate together and we share. Even the Buddha is not here, no problem. It's almost like Buddha is in the center of the team life. Because we are sharing our as much as possible. Whatever we are talking is not to gossiping, tale carrying, harsh words or lying. And therefore, the most important thing happen with the Sammaditi Sankappa is you understand the gravity of this unrestrained words. It's a main source for our present suffering. If you can control it, that means you will be completely outcasted. If you are going to only talk the truth, you will never be accepted in the world today. To be in the society, you must have so much of quota for gossiping. The whole media, present day, almost changing the government. It can't change a male, a female, that's all they cannot, it can't. All the others have done. They are using the utter sophisticated way of communication because they have agenda. The communication is always with the agenda. Never. Otherwise, no. Otherwise, mind-to-mind communication is always there. Telepathic communication is always there. That is what you call the compassion. Anything you put into word, anything kind of thing, that's an agenda. So therefore you can understand the religious people, how much they are using this Miccha Vacha or Samma Vacha and Samma Kammanta, that how much they become industrious and productive and kind of thing, hardly for the emancipation, it is for the kind of a physical or sensuous gain. So when and where you understand Sammaditi, Samma Sankappa, you are restrained. Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanta. It is not something inflicted. It is not a commandment. You feel like. And the most important thing is your livelihood. Samma Ajiva. You understand there is no correct livelihood. Any livelihood is exploitation. Any livelihood is suppressing others. So the way the Buddha came out is, being a beggar is the best. Because only you depend on something given, good or bad. Anything you do, anything you earn, specifically for the renounced people, specifically for the mendicants, specifically for the full-time meditators, they must utterly depend on the donors and be humble, have the livelihood like a beggar. But this is such a rich thing. Our Loko Hamdru used to say, one day when I am attending him, he told, Dhammajiva, now you see we are beggars. We as disciples. We are kind of a beggars. People give thing and pay respect and worship. That's the kind of beggars. Asking us to take more and more. This is the miracle on the earth. Whenever you give something, the receiver is inferior, giver is the superior. See in the sasana, the receiver is highly superior, the giver is like less than a servant, less than a slave. And pay respect. See the miracle of the Buddha. See the living miracle on the earth. After becoming a beggar, they ask, anything Bhante you need? What can I do for you? And you see, it is like a mother is asking the child, with his mother knowledge, what can I do for you? And child is just giggling. Yeah, laughing, that's enough. And the mother get the full recharging by just mere laugh, mere smile of the child. So this is the best. But you white-clad fellows, never taste it. Never taste it because you are so attracted to your familiar thing and your properties and kind of thing. You think You are the people earning and you are the people running the show kind of. Yes, that is true. But the thing is, such an alternative is there. The livelihood. Can we highlight or convince that kind of a thing in the UNDP or WHO or International Monetary Fund? Can they understand this kind of a thing? What a nonsense we are talking. Because we don't have economic degrees. We don't have the social status. And we don't have the qualification to become a member. They are not even closer to that. But the Buddha, after 2600 years, still it is the truth. So you have to think about day by day, through mindfulness and the 37 factors of enlightenment, how much your livelihood becomes simple, only for the utility value, not for luxuries, not for consumerization. Not only that you are leading such a life, can you leave an example for your children? Can you leave such an example to the second generation? Can you leave such an example to the people with so much attention? It is whether you do or not, it is happening. It is a silent sermon. By leading a humble, simple life, more than preaching, it gives kind of a silent sermon. So therefore, each and every thought moment you become mindful, you are contributing towards the world peace. You are contributing towards the world economy. You are contributing to the happiness in the world. Even though it appears like a very selfish thing or personal thing. So livelihood happens. And then Samma Sati, Samma Samadhi, Samma Vidya, Samma Sati, Samadhi, they are, with this kind of a preparation, the Sati come up to as a factor of one of the eightfold factors, and it is utterly gain. Nothing you have to contribute. Sati is doing all the things to you, and Virya, Samadhi, they come into being. They are no more doing. They are going to happen. That is how the Noble Eightfold Path become the middle path, and because you have to understand two extremes. Without understanding the two extremes, you will never assimilate the middle path. So understanding of the two extremes is irreligious maybe, but you will never assimilate the middle path without knowing it. If you are a disciplinarian, definitely, utterly you are biased. You only appreciate one side, so your middle path is not a complete one. So more and more you go there, you understand it is not a overnight job. It is not a one shot, one stroke. 1001 time when you are practicing, slowly these refinements happen. So Venerable Sariputta reduced into three. First, have a role model, have a noble friend, have a true person, and then listen. He will teach you, you may not grasp or not, but after a while you feel like put into practice. While putting into practice also, early part is very astringent, very bitter, no much of quick results. But towards the end, it gathers the momentum. So when it happens, you become dump-bound. How to communicate with the sensuous world? Very difficult. But as and when you gather the momentum and become a spiritual person, unless otherwise you behave with unspiritual people, unless otherwise you communicate with the normal people, your relativity, your value or your utility will not be reinforced, will not be galvanized. So therefore, whatever the difficulty coming along your way is a test. It's a way of communication to the non-enlightened beings, or non-religious beings. It is happening. So therefore, don't worry about that. Is just common sense. When and where you try to keep the track with this mindfulness and the 37 factors of enlightenment, your social, your internal and external service, or internal sasana and external sasana come into equilibrium like. So more and more you practice, you are more and more contributing to the world peace. So even though people are complaining, telling that it is a selfish thing, go to the forest and try to be enlightened individually, like, it is not happening. So therefore they are happening in a related each other. Sappurusha Sanseva is leading to the Dhammasavana. Saddhammasavana is leading to the Dhammanudhamma Patipatti. We have to understand we are on the way. And more you appreciate all these three, you get so much of energy, so much of a determination power, so much of looking forward. There may be 1,001 other discouraging things. Don't talk about it. Just talk about the love spots. Just talk about the positive side. And we are the happiest lot in that sense on the earth. Other people have 1,001 reason to worry. They are talking about the worries. We also have reason to worry. We are not talking about that. We look forward. That is the message Venerable Sariputta is giving to the Dasuththara Sutta. So we have spent so much of hours understanding. Hope it will helpful for you to organize all your spiritual endeavors and to reach this cream of the spiritual path and share it with the other fellow beings, and that is the main task, or the helping others after you are after you help yourself is what is happening. So understanding and appreciating, make a forward look, make it align and reinforce with that wish. Remind in that wish, I would like to sum up the day's talk as well as the series of Dhamma talks for this retreat. Thank you very much for listening.